Hello, everybody, again, and welcome to another episode of Stock Talk. I am your host, Mike, and with me, is Be Here, Be Nowhere, or Nobody at All. That's me. I'm flying solo. It's just me, myself, and I. Going into some of the stock news tonight, we're going to cover a couple, and we're also going to cover our NSAV news like we always do. We are also going to cover one of the listeners' stock picks. Viking Therapeutics. She wanted to know at least some of the news that's popping, and some of the news that's popping on that is that we are getting at least a little bit of movement towards nighttime towards this stock, and we're going to tell you why, because some of the alphabets telegraphed of what some of the big money companies were doing in Viking. But first, we're going to talk about the NSAV news. Now, going into the NSAV news, it looks like we had a little bit of information. Douglas Morgan passed this on from the NSAV group, passed us on this information. It looks like Daniel Bakozgi, I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name, was proud to share some massive news with the group. Net Savings Link will acquire a minority stake in Technicorum Holdings as a strategic partnership, putting Technicorum Holdings as a post-money valuation of $120 million. Well, with the partners with that, you have Anti-Hack. You also have, going into this here, FinTech, School of Computing, Privacy Ninja, and you also have a few other ones here. E2I also as well. So you have those companies joining. There might be a couple other I can't see because there was a screenshot there. It looks like Yen Wong said that happy to play a key role in making this happen. Together, NSAV Tech, NSAV Strong. We're going to go to the Yahoo Finance plug and see what they got there, see what they were talking about with NSAV. Okay, so some of you might be wondering, well, what does Technicorum Holdings have to do as far as what do they bring to the table? Well, what they're bringing to the table is they're entrenched in the blockchain industry with their expertise in ICOs, IEOs, and IDOs, as well as over the past year of DeFi and NFTs, as well as recently GameFi and SocialFi and the Metaverse. The strategic partnership is in a great enabler for both NSAV as well as Technicorum. The strategic business partnership between Technicorum Holdings and Net Savings Link allows both to complement each other's strength and technical capabilities. The partnership aims to better solve existing challenges and newly developing industries to create new opportunities within the decentralized financial market. So that's going to bolster as well as the company to make that a little stronger. Now, you also have DeFi has grown up to $200 billion in the past over 5 years, so that's huge. That's heavy-hitting news there. That's a big heavy-hitting company coming there. DeFi is all the rage now, and most SocialFi projects are seeing dozens of hundreds of multiples recently published almost to predict metaverse market will gain 13.1% yearly growth rate and reaching $783.3 billion annually. Now, some are saying, well, is the stock overbought, or is there going to be a merger? Will they sign that? They made a deal to make that merger proof from a certain period of time. Now, don't be scared away from this stock as far as that some of the it's been a little bit devalued, but the buyback will continue forward, and I'm sure you're going to see. I would say you're going to see some movement, and you're not going to see the cheap seats anymore for NSAV. Going forward, coming into January and February, I would have to speculate there that you would see some movement going into that new quarter with some of the breaking deals there, and you're also going to see a huge buyback. Is what some of your heavy hitter dogs are saying out there as well, which I would agree with them as well. Okay, so last week they also announced that the company had partnered with Nirvana Meta to enter a $500 billion annual global metaverse market. Nirvana Meta will bring NSAV to the RPG role-playing games metaverse gaming arena. Published reports predict the global metaverse market will reach $800 billion annually by 2024. Well, what does that mean? That means when you saw this at 2 and change for the stock, that means you're not going to get this cheap anymore. So if you missed out on that buy point opportunity, well, sorry about that, but there's still a chance to find your buy point, to look where you're at in NSAV and see if it is a right fit for you so you can get in. So if you want to follow the latest breaking news on NSAV and some of the partnerships with Nirvana and Ninja and some of the other companies that I mentioned, you can go onto the Facebook page of NSAV, and that's one of the groups. Like I said, Douglas Morgan posts daily of anything that he finds out when he finds any breaking news and anything that pops to keep a lot of us shareholders notified of what's going on so we can let everybody know and introduce some of the newbies into this. You don't get an opportunity like this that comes along much where you can get in this cheap. So when you're looking, just find your buy point of where you think you need to get in, and and don't bet the farm. If you want to sit this one out and watch, just do some paper trading. Find out find out what you're most comfortable in if you want to enter the market, and if you do not. There is risk associated with this, but most of the times with the risk, it does pay dividends if you do your DD. That's what some people say on StockTwits. Okay, guys, so one of the first stocks we're going to talk about tonight is VKTX. VKTX, last tick after hours is $5 and change. Now, you have a lot of heavy movement with this after hours. It was up 26 cents just about an hour ago, and then now it is to the 9. Now, just from what I've seen on this, I've seen a lot of movers, a lot of I'm gonna bring you some news articles of some of the heavy hitters that are entering this. You are seeing people, so one of our listeners, I'm going to bring up her name here in a second, but it's interesting that she brought to attention of this because this has taken a nosedive, and I think my analysis is, as far as some of this, is that you are seeing some of the bears get in there, and maybe it's some of the insiders, things like that. They've been trying for the past week to scare people off, telling them it's dead in the water. They're trying to trick people to make them think that everything is all lost. But if you go dive deeper into what we're seeing some of the big dogs move in. And who are the big dogs? Well, I'm going to tell you who the big dogs are because I have been doing my DD on some of the players here that are possibly moving this to the different direction because they know something is going to turn around and flip. So we're going to go into that because you're seeing some of that money move towards there because they see the future of some of the pipeline, what's happening with this stock. Going on to the chart, looking at this for the last, from year to date, obviously you get your Q card bounce, and then the chart stays pretty decently healthy here, and then come say October, November-ish, you see the dive off, which is basically that's a lot of that. Some of that has to do with people cashing out. Some people are cashing their cards. They're gonna get their Christmas gear and buy their cars, deals like that, booze and boats, things like that for the next year. Going into what would you say you do here, Vikings Therapeutics is a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company which engages in development of novel therapies for patients suffering from metabolic and endocrine disorders. The company's clinical program, VK5211, treats patients recovering from non-elective hip fracture surgery. It also specializes in the development of VK2809 and VK2014. The company was founded by Brian Leon and Michael Dinnerman September 24, 2012, and is headquartered in San Diego, California. So with this, they have several things in the pipeline. I've told you guys this several times, that these types of companies, as they go along with your future of the market, things like that, and since it's overbought, you have as far as you have your quantitative easing or tapering, but you're getting lots of the printing machines going on and things like that. So with these types of companies, they are more some of the safer plays because of what they have going on, and they have different stages for their clinical trials. So that gives you more chances for news popping, whereas if you take it is also a little less risky when it comes to buying some of your shit stocks out there, like some of your pennies where you're taking a lottery ticket. Your chances of hitting in that are less than, I'm not saying that there's not a chance to hit, but what I'm saying you're better off putting it into your money somewhere like this where it's safer, whereas a lottery ticket that is half a cent, 20 cents, 9 times out of 10 with the cheap seat stocks, you're pretty much going to lose every time when it comes to the OTCs, unless you're playing the short game. And you really know what you're doing, especially if you found some of these stocks on a promotion list and they are you're buying basically trash, and you buy at the high point and then they take you and you lose all your money. So that's where you have to watch out with some of these promoters and promotion lists, and so that's what this program is here for. This program is to help you so you don't make that poor choice of, if you're new. If you know a lot about that, then you don't have to worry about that. For some people that are new, when you're going to look at a company like, say, for example, Viking Therapeutics, it's better to put your money in somewhere where it is above $1 than somewhere where it is in the cheap seats where it's not even a cent or things like that, and you don't know if it's going to go into the toilet bowl or out of a trailer park or something like that, where some of these are listed at some of the companies when we bring them up on the information on them where they're at. So going forward, we are going to go onto the website and some of the pipeline and see what we got there. Okay, so these are some of the heavy hitters gravitating towards Viking here. You have Dimensional Fund Advisors, you have Morgan Stanley, you also have Aeromark Colorado Holdings LLC, and then you also have, let's see, we got one, and we have Goldman Sachs. So that's what some of the reaction is that they're seeing now. I found it funny on StockTwits that like you have a lot of bears on there. So if there's a lot of bear people diving around, that could mean that some of the insiders are trying to scare some of your retail traders to try to get them to sell so they can get in on the cheap seats. So that's something to be aware of. And so like some of the listeners say, just because you see something on StockTwits doesn't mean that those could be bots on you that are trying to trick you, to scare you off, to try to get you to sell. Remember what we always talk about in this program: signal, not noise. The noise is that they try to rattle you up and everything like that. So you have to read everything before you make that decision, because there are so many players out there that are trying to get you going and get you. It's a mind game where they try to get you to react, and you have to keep everything cool and calm together to figure out what you are doing with the stock that you own. So if you're new to this company, they are in a clinical stage and engaged in development of novel therapies for patients suffering from metabolic and endocrine disorders. The firm's clinical VK5211 treats patients recovering from non-elective hip fracture surgery. It also specializes in VK2809 and VK2114. So you have those deals in the pipeline. Now, bringing up some of my research I had on this. Where in the pipeline do we have it here? So we have phase 2 of NASH, okay? Then you also have phase 1 of A_ALD. Then there's a hip fracture muscle wasting. That's in phase 2. And then hip fracture muscle wasting phase 2 for the VK612 FP inhibitor. And then you have the hypertriglyceridemia phase 1 for NASH. Now, as they go through the phases, like we discussed, as those news, you have all these different chances of news, and you're in that safe side of the $4 range because it's over $1. When you're over $1, you have a little luxury of, as far as when you reach the $1.50, the $2 mark, you're no longer as far as risky as say your quarter cent, eighth of a cent, things like that. That's when you got to watch out of who's promoting things like that. And like I said, I'm covering this one because one of the listeners mentioned, and it was good of her to do that because it introduced some of you to this. And with this, we are seeing movement of it right now because there's a lot of different players in this, a lot of heavy hitters, big dogs in it, and they're making movement. And my take on this is I think they're trying to scare people so they can grab the cheap, and then they can load up more and more and more. So that's my take from my first observations, what I'm seeing here. So my final take on this, as well as like what you're seeing in other parts of the market, is that you're seeing this buyback. And so with this, you're seeing some people cut losses. You're also seeing some people panic, and then they're dumping. All that's going to do is that's going to bring in the smart traders. They're going to go back and grab the cheap seats, and they're going to be the ones laughing all the way to the bank when it comes to, let's just say, February, March, around that first quarter time, and they're going to be laughing all the way to the bank is what's going to happen. So that's all we have for Viking, and we'll go on to the next one just for you. Okay, guys, the next stock we have is AQST. AQST. Last tick was $5.95, and this thing after hours, it's on the move here and there. It is one of more of your safer plays there, just because it's in the healthy chart as far as it's a decent swinger as well if you're into the swinging game. There are several things that this company has going on. It is not the first time at the rodeo that this company has also had breakthroughs in their clinical phases and things like that, and their approvals. Going through with their chart, like I said, it's healthy. You can go ahead and take a look at that is what we call a healthy swinging chart right there. Let's just put it that way. Now, going into what would you say they actually do here if you're new to the stock, this company engages in identifying, developing, and commercialization of differentiated products to address the medical needs to solve patients' therapeutic problems. Its product pipeline includes Liberant, AQST 108, AQST 305, Subsequent, and Zupalex. The company was founded in January 2004 and is headquartered in the People's Republic of Warren, New Jersey. Now, recent news for this company, going from biospace.com, AQST has an upcoming FDA date of December 23rd, 2021, just in time to give some of you Christmas presents and to give you guys some cash money. So it has a breakthrough treatment for seizures for patients 12 years of age or older. In addition to, AQST recently announced that it received a written response from the U.S. FDA for its pre-investigational new drug pre-IND meeting submission, confirming that the development of AQST 109 for the treatment of anaphylaxis under the 505B approval pathway is acceptable, and that Health Canada has provided a clearance for AQST's crossover study for the EPAS study of AQST 109 patient recruitment for the EPAS study that has begun for the company. Expects to be dosing the first dosing to occur before the end of 2021. With that, you are already going to get the news popping of that, and the chart is obviously going to change. It's going to change in the positive motion. So TikTok, going on to not the dumb social media platform, but with your privacy. But TikTok, you're going to see that graph not drop, but it's going to change north there. If you can put all that together with a rhyme, I can do it all the time. A little bit about Libervant. It's a buccally or inside the cheek administered soluble film formulation of diazepam, benzodiazepine, intended for acute treatment of intermittent stereotypic episodes of frequent seizure activity. The episodes of the seizure clusters, acute repetitive seizures, and distinct from patients' usual seizure pattern in patients of epilepsy 12 years of age or older. The company believes that Libervant will enable a large share of patients to receive more appropriate treatment by providing a consistent therapeutic dosing and non-invasive innovative treatment for epileptic seizures. These seizures affect many people worldwide. So doing this and with the ease of how it is administered, the breakthrough with that is that you are going to see huge number of people helped, and also the people that helped invest in this and helped contribute to this are going to be rewarded. Now, there are several other things in that pipeline, and this isn't, like I said, this company's first time at the rodeo, but you will see, you have to find your pie point where to get in. Now, is this going to be the time to load up things like that before the news breaks? Some people are going to do that, and they are going to make money, but if you're new to this, you need to proceed with caution, because if you don't know what you're doing, you could be taken for your dough. So choose wisely when you're deciding, or consult your financial advisor. That was a joke, actually, but that part of the financial advisor part. So do your DD, and we'll come back tomorrow with more fresh stocks, but we wanted to give an update for some of the listeners because they wanted us to give some updated information. I do want to go into, before we go, I want to cover on stock twits, because that's where the real traders are at. And interesting to see the sentiment on here is that many of your stock twitters, they're waiting for that FDA news. The most interesting one came up 5 minutes ago from MC428. It says, going to be interesting this week. The issue is going to be whether or not AQST has successfully convinced the FDA that Liberant is clinically superior to the nasal spray Valtico, or deserves its own 7-year exclusive, otherwise being blocked from going to the market. So going into some DD, AQST is making the case that Liberant is more contribution to the patient care, being first oral. Valtico didn't have any of the clinical studies and the patients with allergies, cold, compromised breathing. So the question of effectiveness is in such cases. Seems that Liberant stands a good chance for seriousness of condition and unmet need and guarantees with the FDA. So that is probably one of the better takes. That's why that's why I brought it up, that MC428 put on there, as far as that you're not getting the same ones. Well, this is good, that's bad, things like that. You're getting a decent take there. But the sentiment on here is that, like everybody's saying, they're waiting for the news of whether this is going to go north or just stay the same. But with it, the price point, you're at a decent price point. There's movement here. It's going to be volatile all through the week until we get that news. But with this, just check your headlines, check that, and make a proper decision by find out where your entry point is, if that's where you're going to go, or if it's a harder pass for you. But with it, like I said, therapeutics are a little more safer. And with this being a higher price stock, it's also in the safer range versus some of the ones we talk about, which are in the subpar range, which some are questionable, and best options for you on those would be to paper trade those. So I'll be back tomorrow. Don't make it a dog show, and good night now!